Hi, my name's David Brown. I'm with the Hill Cumorah Expedition Team, and we are continuing now with presentation number 3, which is Chinkultic as the city of Nephi. I do want to take a moment here to express that we have so much evidence for so many of these things, and in these presentations, we're just taking a few of the stronger evidences that we have. For example, in Yaxchilán, which we just presented, I did not mention that the city sets right on the Ucimacenta River, which is the River Sidon in the Book of Mormon. And there are so many other geographical clues. There are so many other peripheral clues of cities that are mentioned in other cities in a manner that it is explaining the interaction that those two cities had. For example, Yaxchilán, the people of Lamani in Belize were paying tribute to Yaxchilán. Well, the Book of Mormon tells us that the Lamanites who had converted and moved to Jershon were paying the people at Zarahemla to support the armies that were protecting them. So there's so much information that we could do 2-hour presentations on each of these cities, but you're not going to be able to handle the 2 hours, nor us. This has to be done in chunks. So what we're going to present in these presentations are the highlights that give you the overall scope of why these things are what we claim that they are. So we're going to get started then with presentation number 3. Chinkultic is the city of Nephi. At Chinkultic, we find several features that identify it as the city of Nephi. First, it is over 5,000 feet higher in elevation, which makes it an accurate statement when the Book of Mormon says Mosiah went down to Zarahemla. And this is one of the clues that we come across in the Book of Mormon as to directional clues. Direction of up and down is not map up and down, north and south. Direction of up and down is elevation. So in the Book of Mormon, it states that the people of the city of Nephi went down to Zarahemla, which is an accurate statement. Yaxchilán is located in the lowlands. That is the city that we have identified as Zarahemla, and it is right on the Ucimacenta River. The city of Nephi, which we've identified as Chinkultic, is up in the northern highlands of lower Mexico. It's right on the border between Chiapas, Mexico, and Guatemala. And it's at about almost 6,000 feet above sea level. So it is in the highlands, and it's when they go down to the city of Nephi, it's 5,000 feet that they're going down. The first stela that we're going to look at is the Chinkultic Monument 18, which illustrates the historical event of Zeniff asking Mosiah's permission to return to the city of Nephi and Mosiah's subsequent blessing to proceed. If you notice on the illustration, the photo of the illustration that we have, the man on the bottom left is kneeling and he's imploring permission. Behind him, you see a pillar on which, top of which sits a bird, a quetzal bird. And the man, the way that we interpret this, the man is asking for permission to return back to the pillar, the city where they had originated, where their religion was practiced. And that's why the quetzal bird's sitting on top of the pillar. The gentleman who's standing and lording over, we believe, is representing Mosiah. He is the one who is giving permission, and with his right hand, he's touching the pillar, the chapiter of the pillar there. So this is, if we just found this stela, It may be Chinkultic. I mean, it may be the city of Nephi. It may not be, but we're going to give you a whole body of evidence, and when you put it all together, it makes perfect sense. On another Chinkultic stela, we find two figures. Their headdresses and the text box have been highlighted. Now, take a look here. The one on the left is outlined in a turquoise color, and he stands very tall, very erect. He has a very large hat, and he is the king. The one on the right is outlined in green. You notice that he has a headdress that has a lot of quetzal feathers in it. And there is an upside down L floating between the two of them. Well, that's a floating text box. We can see that the second figure, the one on the right, appears to be engulfed in flame, which has been highlighted in yellow. So you see there the flame that is coming off of him. It is interesting to note that the hand of the priest is emerging from the flame and gives a gesture towards the king. And that is a gesture that continues to be given today in the Mexico region. If someone puts hand out directly to you, that means back at you, right back at you. So in this case, what we interpret this to mean that it seems to reflect statements made in the Book of Mormon concerning the death of Abinadi, which is, Abinadi made the statement to King Noah when he was dying in the flame, that what you have done to me will happen to you, right back at you. You do this to me, you're going to suffer the same consequence, and not only me, but the people around you. And as we know from the Book of Mormon story, that is exactly what happened. So here we have this stela of a very specific event that happened in the city of Nephi, and it is located here in Chinkultic. Monument 3 is a depiction of the 24 priests of King Noah. These priests had kidnapped 24 Lamanite women and are shown here after being captured by the Lamanite warriors. If you remember, the women were at a recreational place, at a lake, waters, where they were retiring. They were resting, and the 24 priests of Noah came upon them and took the women. Well, later on, they're captured by the Lamanite warriors. And they were going to put the priests, the 24 priests to death because of what they had done to the women. And the Lamanite women begged for the lives of their husbands, which was granted. Now, in this stela, you see the very tall man on the right. Those are the Lamanite, the Lamanite warriors is who they represent. The man on the left is on his knees, and he is bound. He's being captive. And behind him stands a woman whose right hand is on the back of the kneeling captive man, and she is speaking to the warrior. The speech scrolls are coming out and going up and touching the cloak of the warrior. And what it indicates here is this woman is speaking, imploring on behalf of the man who her right hand is touching. The warrior is interesting here. He has a left hand illustrated on the right arm. This is a unique feature that we find in Mayan art that indicates repentance. Repentance is reversing your actions. You've done something and now you want to change that. You want to go back to or take that 180 and do something completely different. So the indication here is that the warrior is about ready to do something to this captive, the woman speaks on behalf of the captive, and the hand of the works of the warrior have reversed because of her speech. And so he repents, basically. He 180s. And so we're going to find this, this concept depicted throughout Mayan art. When someone reverses action, when someone is repentant, you'll see an opposite hand on the wrong arm. How to say that? You'll find a right hand on a left arm, or a left hand on a right arm, which means a reversal of actions, a reversal of works, and basically an act of repentance. But here we have this very unique story, again, that happened in the city of Nephi. And here it is on this stela at Chinkultic. Monument 7 is the composite story concerning the discovery and translation of the 24 golden plates. The sword blades are shown in the lower left, and Limhi, or it's a composite actually of Limhi Mosiah on the right. Now, here's the story of King Limhi, who's trying to reconnect with Zarahemla. He sends this group of people to go out and find the people of Zarahemla. Well, they go a different way and basically get lost. They're gone for quite a while. What they end up doing is, rather than going over to the river system that goes to the Lancandon and down to Usumacinta, they go over to another river system that goes down to the Tonalá River, that goes out to the Gulf of Mexico. Well, when they do that, they wind up going to the land of desolation, and that's the La Venta area, and they find these swords that are rusted, and they find the 24 golden plates of ether. So here, this illustration, you see the first photograph on the far left is the full stela. And here is a tall figure on the right with a very large headdress, and kneeling in front of him to the left is a warrior who is embracing a bundle of what it looks like are sticks. But if you understand, if you realize that the swords that they collected were rusted, then you would understand that what he may be holding is a bundle of sword blades that were rusted. And so he's holding these in front of this tall figure on the right, which we believe, because we know the story, it is a combination figure of Limhi and Mosiah. So here we have the soldier with the sword blades. The next thing I want to show you is about halfway up on the left side. You see the arm of the priest. It's going out, but there's something like a box that's setting on the priest's arms. And there's symbols on that box. The symbols are gold, which is a C with a dot in it. That's the very first thing. Then there's an X in the middle of the box, which indicates sacred. And then over on the right-hand side is the Mayan number 24. But it's interesting because it's not a typical Mayan numbering system. Mayan numbers are a bar equals 5, a dot equals 1. But when you get to 20, it changes to a different system. It's unusual, very unusual, for you to see 4 bars stacked to make 20 and then 4 dots on top. But that's what's going on here. We believe that this box that's resting on the arm of the priest is the symbol of the 24 gold plates of ether. And here it's resting on his arm. So here we have the sword blades. Here we have the 24 gold plates of ether. And then, if you look at the headdress, In the middle of the headdress, there's this huge eye. And out of the top of the headdress comes a bird head. And from the bird head is something that cascades down to the box that we just talked about. And so what's being indicated here is that this particular priest is also a seer. And this seer, by the power of the Holy Spirit, which is represented by the bird head and the quetzal feathers, he is able to interpret what is coming out of the 24 gold plates. So that's why we say this is a combination figure here who is being representing both Limhi and Mosiah, because it wasn't Limhi who was the seer who interpreted. That was Mosiah. But it was Limhi who received from the warriors the rusted sword blades and the 24 plates of ether. So here this monument is in Chinkultic. This is an event that's very specific to the city of Nephi. And you put that with all the others that we've looked at, and there's other things that are peripheral that are too detailed to explain. But if you are there at the site and you look at what's being stated, it is an amazing story that's being told. One of the more interesting stories concerning the city of Nephi is the secret pass through which King Limhi's people escape at night. Chinkultic has a unique feature that fits this narrative. This is a isometric artistic drawing of the city of Nephi. You'll notice in the foreground there's a very large pyramid. That pyramid is covered, but there's a ball court right at the base of it on the left. That ball court is uncovered, along with everything else that's in the plaza to the left of that. There's lots of stelae that are out here. Several of the ones that we've talked about are out in this open plaza area. If you go over to the right, there is another plaza where we believe that there are things that talk specifically about the Nephi-Lehi experience when they came up and converted the Lamanites. But then at the very top of the drawing, you see another large pyramid, and there is an area on the back that has highlighted in yellow. This ancient city has a backdrop of extremely high cliffs, and this is going to play important in the secret pass concept. So we're going to take a look from the vertical. This is a topographical map that's looking straight down. It illustrates the secret pass. You see that there's a cenote on the right, there's a lake on the left, and there is a land bridge that goes across from the back side of this temple over to the hillside on the north. That particular pass is invisible from a frontal view. Here we see the cliffs behind the temple and water 200 feet below the right side of the pass. And the left side is equally as impressive. It is straight down. This is the temple at the top of the mound that blocks direct view or access to the secret pass. So this structure was erected here as a way of regulating who uses that pass, who knows about the pass. And this is just a view from a plaza where I told you about the Nephi-Lehi conversion experience. And looking up about midway in the photograph, you see the temple there, and you wouldn't know that there's a connection. It looks like those sheer cliffs are not connected to the temple. So from this perspective drawing of Chinkultic, it becomes evident that the secret pass is hidden from all observations into the city. The Book of Mormon states that the Nephites escaped to the left of the Lamanite camp, which we believe is illustrated here over an area called number 1. It's on the other side of the lake, that's on the right-hand side of that temple and pass. From their camp, the pass cannot be seen. The group led by King Limhi would have left the city by the route indicated while under the cover of darkness. Estimates indicate that more than 20,000 people could have escaped in a 6-hour period. It would have had to been one by one. It would have had to have been organized, but they could have easily done that. It is important to remember that not only did the escape occur at night, but Limhi's people had gotten the Lamanites drunk. Moreover, from the vantage point of the Lamanite camp, no one could see the secret pass. And I'm showing you there a dotted line that is the line of sight from the Lamanite camp. They can't see the land bridge. And here's why. They're looking from a distance. They're on the other side of the lake, and from that vantage point, you cannot see it. This is a top-down, it's a satellite view of that pass area there behind the temple. So here you see very clearly, you have the cenote that's to the right-hand side. You have the lake that's on the left-hand side. And we'll see here in a minute, there's actually water all around this particular portion of the Chinkultic site. But that pass is indicated by the brackets. And it's just amazing how that fits. Now, on top of that, just looking at the geographical features is striking enough, but there was a altar that was found, and I'm going to try and say this altar correctly, pronounce it correctly, the altar of Sevalniab. And this is what it looks like. The altar from Sevalniab, it was found above Chinkultic. It depicts Limhi's people crossing the pass at night to escape the Lamanites. A few things to look at here. First, the eyes of the individual. It's a slit. In other words, it's nighttime. They're either sleeping or their vision is restricted because it is night. His right arm is up by his head, and it is blocking view of his right eye, which means he's trying to hide himself from the people to the right. Understand, the Book of Mormon says nothing about the right. It says that the people of Limhi escaped to the left of the Lamanites who were camped there. And so that means that they're going past the people on the right. Well, they're trying to keep themselves hidden from the people on the right. And that's why he has his right arm and his elbow protruding out from his head, making it look like he's hiding his face. Notice the feet, how he looks like that he's walking gingerly, he's walking carefully, and he's at the foot of the steps. He's getting ready to go up the steps to go through the narrow pass that is created here. So even the depiction on this altar is indicating someone who's escaping at night. And one other thing to look at, when we turn this sideways, I want you to look at these two features. First, there are waves that are carved around the three sides of this altar. And what you see here is there is water on three sides of the temple. It's on the left. The river comes across and connects to this other lake on the right. So there's water all the way around. That isolates this temple. And you'll see that there are, in the upper right left-hand corner and the upper right-hand corner, there are signs that we have been told are water signs. They indicate water. So it's indicating that by this narrow pass, there is water on each side. However, that's also a symbol for the sun. A circle with a dot in it is a symbol for the sun. And this could also be indicating not just water on each side of the secret pass, but it can be indicating when the sun set and when the sun rose. It was between those two times that they escaped at night. This is amazing because this particular altar was found just up the hill from that secret pass. And it's not something that was done at the time that they went across. They didn't say, oh, let's hurry up and chisel this altar so that we can have a testimony of what we just did. No, they came back hundreds of years later, probably, and put this testimony in place. So this is a Bountiful Historical Society monument that's put here to commemorate what took place here at this location. The Chinkultic disc, or La Esperanza disc, states that this king became the king of Zero. In a ball court that's out in front of the city, they found this disc. And the disc states that this king became the king of Zero. He was the king of Zero, which is very unique because King Limhi, in order to free his people, he said, we'll come and we'll be your slaves. We would rather be slaves to the Nephites than be here and have to deal with this unjust tax that we're being given. Half of everything that we do goes to the Lamanites. So we would rather be slaves to the Nephites. And he abdicated his throne. He willingly gave up his kingship so that his people could go into Zarahemla and be free. He became the king of Zero. Also notice here, there is a large ball with a head in it. What we find is that is an allusion to an Isaiah passage about a people being violently tossed as a ball into a new country or a large country. The ball is representative of the people being tossed into a new land, being moved to a new location. And so that's what's being indicated here with this king who is a ball court player, putting this ball into play. He's pushing his people out of that land and into the land of Zarahemla. So again, specific. When you know the context of the events that happened in the city of Nephi, this Chinkultic disc is a detailed, event-specific disc. We believe this disc refers to King Limhi, who abdicated his kingship to help his people be delivered from Lamanite occupation. Monument 8 is a depiction of Nephi to show the effect that he had on all 7 tribes in Book of Mormon history. This is depicted by the 7-headed necklace he wears. Now, this obviously was done towards the latter part of the Golden Age, because it wasn't until the latter part of the Golden Age that we begin realizing people were beginning to identify again as the tribes, and there were 7 that began to develop at that point. Again, after assessing the entire body of evidence found here at Chinkultic, we find a lengthy list of reasons to identify this site as a direct parallel to the city of Nephi. We are therefore encouraged to continue ignoring the official dates assigned to Maya culture. Again, the official dates put all of this much later, and we maintain that dating system, the correlation system that they have adopted, is not accurate. And so we choose to ignore the dating system because too many other things align. People, places, the geography, the particular events that happen in the cultures, the movement of cultures, all of that. We can't ignore all of that body of information just because the arbitrary dates that have been assigned don't fit. We have to recognize that the interpretation of the dating system may need to be adjusted. And so we hold on to all of the other aspects. And for the moment, we're ignoring the dating aspect. Further, this list is compiled of strong, story-specific evidences that are unique to the Book of Mormon's story. Mosiah, Abinadi, Limhi, and the missionary Nephi are all from different eras specific to the city of Nephi, and yet they are recorded here in Chinkultic in stone. And incredibly, the physical features of this site fitting the Limhi secret pass story so perfectly only serves to put an exclamation point on the claim that Chinkultic is the city of Nephi. We continue to state the claim that this trend will continue as we move forward and investigate the Mayan culture as a parallel to the stories in the Book of Mormon. So that completes presentation number 3. Our next presentation will be on why we're given the stories we are in the Book of Mormon. We think that it's important to understand that Mormon selected a specific storyline that he wanted to get through to us. And so it's not just what he wrote, but it's what's embedded between the lines of what he wrote that still needs to come forth to fill in the blanks, to fill in the unknowns. And so our next one will be why this story. So we hope to see you in our next presentation, presentation number 4. Thank you.